This is the Redmi Pad Pro. It costs less than $300, and for that you get a stunning 68 billion 120Hz 12.1-inch IPS LCD display, which is the highlight of the Redmi Pad Pro. But there's so much more going on here. This essentially is trying to penetrate the market and offer you a laptop-esque experience for considerably less money. So you can get your dedicated keyboard case and you can get a stylus as well. So you got that hybrid model of essentially what you'd get in your iPad Pros or your S9 or S10 soon to be Ultra tablets. Those can all be compared directly with this. Obviously this is not the same spec or level of clarity when it comes to display, but it's offering you the opportunity to have all of those at a budget cost. So some of the key features on this tablet are, you get Android 14 out the box, which is great, a 33-watt wired charging, 10,000 mAh battery, and then in terms of the display, we already touched on it, 12.1-inch with Snapdragon 7S Gen 2, up to 256 gigabytes of storage as well. This is the base configuration of 6 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage. So very cheap, looks nice, feels good, but the question we always ask when it comes to cheap technology is it any good? Let's find out. So let's talk build and a quick walk around the Redmi Pad Pro. Rear, you have your camera housing. We'll talk about specs, etc. in a second. Well built in this sort of carbon gray sort of color. This is one of 3 colors. At the bottom here, you have your USB-C port, your 3.5mm jack, and then your bottom firing mics. Nothing on the other side. On the top bit, you've got your power button, and on the other side of this, where the camera faces forward, you've got your volume up and down key, and then you have your SIM ejector tool insertion for your memory card, because this is expandable, which is sick. Let's quickly look at the front of the display. 12.1-inch, super bright and vibrant. This is the highest brightness, and then those borders actually aren't that horrific. Considerably narrower and smaller than what you get in your base level iPad. So let's quickly touch on cameras. Obviously you're not going to buy a tablet like this for cameras, but you get an 8 megapixel sensor. Although it looks like there's 2 sensors, that's a flashlight, that's an 8 megapixel sensor, and it's the exact same sensor on the front that lives in the middle of the display. That's also 8 megapixels and records and tops out at 1080p. So a few samples here just to give you a quick idea as what that looks like. Let's, however, touch on HyperOS on the Redmi Pad Pro. We've been over this multiple times, but let's quickly touch on the tablet version. There is one really cool addition that I would say you don't really find on a lot of the phones, and that is when you go into any application, you get 3 little dots that live at the top. Once you tap those, it'll immediately alerts you to a multitasking option. So you can put this into single window, left side, right side, or floating is entirely up to you. And actually it makes it super accessible to just get around the device and get into a multitasking scenario a lot quicker. In terms of everything else, in terms of the display, 120Hz, butter smooth, works absolutely flawlessly. That Snapdragon processor is doing an excellent job, and then the RAM alongside it powers the device really well. So there's nothing really groundbreaking here. I would say this isn't a tablet OS that's optimized. It's essentially just a mobile OS enlarged for the tablet with a few tricks that allow it to function on a larger display. So there's no comparison here for things like iPadOS or Samsung's DeX, although it's not an OS, it is a function. Otherwise, it works perfectly well, but factor in that this is a tablet on a budget that is looking to replace either your existing tablet or try and get you into the Android tablet sphere, I guess, but do it financially at a small cost. So what are our final thoughts on the Redmi Pad Pro? First of all, let's talk about the highlights. 12.1-inch display at 120Hz with that great color ratio, and it's also 12 bits as well. Other things we like, 33 watts of fast charging, great battery life, build quality is really good as well, and then the 120Hz display with that Snapdragon processor all adds up to a really compelling package. One thing I would say is a bit of a miss, but you wouldn't really say it's a miss, are the cameras on the rear. 8 megapixels on the front and the rear. Both are adequate, but they're not going to blow you away. But then again, the argument would be you wouldn't buy a tablet on a budget like this to then expect it to perform really well when it comes to its cameras, which is understandable. But for everything else, for audio, for video, for gaming, or if you want to use it as a replacement for your laptop, but on a budget, then that's great. Now, touching on the laptop bit, A lot of devices, when you come to this price point, don't come with a lot of accessories, or you can't buy a lot of accessories. Well, the good news here is you can actually get a stylus pen, an official one, and a keyboard case, official one, for the Redmi Pad Pro, which will make it that laptop-esque replacement, which is great news. And it means you can sort of get going pretty much straight away. So if you want to draw, if you want to create documents, or if you want to work from it, you can do pretty much straight away without having to get all third-party accessories. So there's a lot to love about the Redmi Pad Pro. Personally, it would be a great option if you're on a shoestring budget and you want to spend less than $300. This could well be the right tablet for you, coming in at $299. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, as always, we out.